So if you're not doing Facebook marketing, you're not doing internet marketing. 1 out of 4 page views is Facebook.
Yeah.
I'm going to go through right now exactly why a post will show up. And this is mostly talking about your profile, but it really is relevant to all pages, groups, everything. So the way that they look at it is, how popular is the things that you've done in the past? This is one of my tips I want to give. You don't have to be on Facebook all day, but you do have to be on Facebook every day. If you own a business that's online as well as offline, you need to be online each day. So that's basically this concept of like edge rank and earning. It's like search. You earn reputation with Google. Well, it's just the same on Facebook. You earn their points. The next one is, how popular is the post with the people that have seen it? The type of post that the particular Facebook user likes the most. Now, this is something that you have to think about, Jimmy. I particularly click on a shit ton of links in Facebook, Gawker, Business Insider. Like, I'm constantly clicking links. So Facebook shows me a ton of links. But if you constantly like somebody's check-in, they'll show you more check-ins. If you engage with videos more, they show you videos more. So as an advanced marketer, my thing is, even as much as I might want to just do pictures every time, I can't do pictures every time, because if a big part of my audience, their preferred usage is links, I got to have links out there sometimes. I've actually evolved from posting daily to posting more about weekly. You have to either be semi-interesting daily or really interesting weekly. There's no such thing as monthly updates that work, on Facebook. And here's the last metric of what goes in the newsfeed, Jimmy. How recently was the post published? You know what I'm saying? They don't want old articles on, if all the articles new, relevant. Like, Facebook's about what's happening now. It's not really like, you don't usually like go to a wedding over the weekend and then on Tuesday upload the album from the wedding. Like, you just do it while you're there.
When you have the demand to post on a regular basis, right, how do you fill that demand?
You do not get to choose the kind of content you share. You have to be diverse to win. Getting inspiration to post stuff, the number one place I look is my life. Like, what is it that I'm doing that's interesting? I'm in Vegas speaking at Berkshire Hathaway. I'm trying to get my daughter to figure out riding a bike without training wheels. The people that are the best Facebook marketers are the people that are the most willing to share the genuine moments of their life. The number one best place to find content to share on Facebook is by building a Twitter list. Who are the local reporters on Twitter? Who are the local media outlets on Twitter? So if you will follow the best resources and the experts within the niches that you're interested in, you're going to be absolutely fine finding amazing content to share on Facebook. People tend to want to share either really positive or really negative things on social. People don't share vanilla. Vanilla don't work real good on Facebook, okay? We don't care that you're doing something semi-interesting. Real estate agents especially, I don't care what you sell for a living, you typically are going to have the most success if you have a system and if you block time and if you do things that are repeatable.
I think one of the trends that we noticed very early on in the days of getting into Facebook marketing is that the tendency is to lurk. But if you go into it with a game plan, you don't get sucked into the news feed, and your game plan is you focus on 3 people you engage on a daily basis through a wall post, meaning you literally go to their profile and you write something relevant to them. As an example, I go to Chris's profile, and we get a ton of interaction when we do this, Chris. I'd like, hey, saw the video on, what's that tool you're using to live stream?
Meerkat, yep.
Yeah, I saw your Meerkat video is awesome. Great job crushing it, right? Whatever, right? And like this idea of you posting to people's walls publicly, right? It will immediately notify that individual, so you're basically having a public conversation.
The more friends you have in common, the more visibility that technique gets. Yeah. And so it's basically a way to pull people in versus your normal update, which is pushing out. So I do this all the time, and I love doing it because I think it makes people feel special.
Yeah. What we're talking about here is we're talking about scaling authenticity through systems, right? This idea of not getting sucked into the chaos of the feed, which exists within every social network. You're scaling authenticity through systems.
And remember, to make it come full circle, like you're on Twitter. Well, a lot of the stuff you find on Twitter is not relevant to everyone. That's the big thing. So I see an article about Belichick, I'm coming to you, Jimmy. But if I see an article about something more broad, I'll go to the group and share with all.
The last three for you is something that we
three.
always do.
So the first one is 3 wall posts. Sorry. What is the second 3, Jimmy?
Second 3 is private chats. This idea of making people feel special, trying to provide value. If you are doing a little bit of research, getting interesting articles, curating that stuff, it all builds together. It builds so you can post more interesting things to get more engagement there. It also builds because now you can share it with your friends who, one-to-one basis, and you can private message it. The last point I want to make about this is that the 3-3 strategy, it's not about you've got to do 3 times a day and that 3 times a day. It's about defining what success is for yourself and not going into it blind.
Yeah. What happens is eventually, once it works, you don't even think about it. You just naturally do it intuitively. Exactly. It's like a sales script. You have to learn the perfect script, but then you throw the script away because you know it and it comes from the heart, which is obviously better.
Just give us like a minute on this, the Alex Wang strategy, because I think if you go on the topic of making people feel special, this is that to the 10th degree.
Where were you guys at recently, Jimmy? Your fiance?
We were in Ruskin. Yeah, we had swamp views in Ruskin, Florida.
Okay, so you're in Ruskin, Florida.
Yes.
You got a condo with a couple other couples. You guys hit up Disney World, right? If you're in my business network, if you're a colleague, if you're somebody that made me money, is going to make me more, I would have actually seen that you were down there because you would have posted on Facebook. I would have actually upgraded you and your fiance to the Disney Fast Pass.
We could have used that.
You would have freaking loved that, dude.
I could not figure it out when I was down there. They got the magic bands now. It was like, I gave up. So I miss all my Fast Passes.
But the idea is that, I know you're there. I know you because we have contacts and we have a great relationship. How can I make your vacation a little bit better?
Seeing what people are sharing in their news feed, right? And then taking that opportunity to make someone feel special by a physical gift or a phone call, whatever it is, it's an awesome idea.
The last best practice here for your profile, taking advantage of Facebook's, the way Facebook's interface works. So you know how if you go on Facebook and you comment on a thread and someone else comments on the thread, it will most of the time notify you, especially if the person that comments on the thread is the person whose thread it is. What you do is you go back to them, even if it's like 4 years old, read through those, and maybe there's somebody you didn't reply to. Maybe there's an additional insight you can add because 6 months have gone by and you've had more time to think. It's called bumping. It's called rebumping. If I comment again, like not all 100 will get a notification, but they'll notify most of them. We see this in our groups a lot because we'll see like people get into this debate about like a strategy, but the original post was like from 2012. It's just because somebody found it, hit like on it, and that bumped it. Yeah, so you can hit like to rebump stuff. You can leave a comment to rebump stuff. But the more people that have already engaged with the post that you rebump, the more that it'll just pick right back up. The next thing we're going to talk about is group.
If you're going to start a group, you have to think bigger than a page. You have to sort of surround people around an idea, not just a brand. Oftentimes, Chris, people come to me and they want to start a group and they want to start it about like a small subdivision. They have these really small ideas and they have these small focuses that are far too narrow. So the first thing is, if you look at what's the company, Chris? Is it Nextdoor? I believe it is.
Nextdoor.com.
Okay, so we have an article that it's like PBS wrote that. I found that on PBS. Tweet it out. It's Nextdoor basically started their company, I think it was in 2012, and the idea was to create a social network for neighborhoods, right? So think about this for a moment. They have to mail stuff to people who live in a neighborhood. People have to create new profiles. They have to sign up for this service. They have to then log into it, so it's another place for them to log into. And they have, because their strategy is so sound, 1 in 4 people in neighborhoods across the U.S. have signed up for Nextdoor. People want to connect with other people locally. Now, we have an advantage using Facebook groups because everybody's already on Facebook. Now we just have to give them a clear path to how to connect with other locals. So the first thing is, if you're going to start a Facebook group, there may be exceptions to this, but I think the general rule is focus on a specific neighborhood or community, right? It can expand to a larger geographic area, but it has to be a well-defined community. So I live in the north end of Boston. That's a very well-defined community.
Yeah.
I wouldn't start a Boston group. It's too big. I don't care about people doing it who's in Dorchester or the Back Bay. I care about the north end. So be willing to draw a line in the sand. It isn't that this can be your only trick, right? You can do other areas, but be willing to draw a line in the sand. The second thing is once you establish the group, don't expect it to immediately take off. What I like to do, Chris, and this is something I always talk about, is find a few ambassadors to be really active. Where I see most groups fail in the first sort of 30 or 60 days is they are the only ones posting, right? They're the only ones being active. Number 3 is you have to have a promotional plan to gain traction. So you've got this group, this North End group or this local community group. You got a few ambassadors who are already very vocal on Facebook and local to you, which can be ambassadors of the group. Now you have to begin to attract the lurkers, as Chris said, right? The other majority, right? The laggards here. So you can do that in a couple basic ways. The first is you can run ads to promote the group. That's one of the things we did with Judy Weiniger for the Warren Township Community Forum. The second thing is if you haven't built an email list, you should do this. You can email the link to the group to invite people to it, right? And then back to that 3-3 strategy, you can begin to connect with your friends who are local with you and invite them personally to the group. Start to gain momentum. Tell them to invite their friends, right? Start that trend. So you have to do a little bit of grassroots guerrilla marketing, Chris, but you want to approach it in a very systematic and aggressive way to get that momentum.
Yeah.
Because what will happen with groups, just one last note on that, is there's a tipping point where the person who is the originator of the group no longer has to be involved for the group to sustain, which is exactly where the tech support group is and the money group. Now, they survive because people like you who are super active about bitching people out when they post promotional links or just keeping the group engaged. So as the originator, you can always have that control and always use that as a channel for yourself, but you can hit a point where if you build that ambassadorship and those active users, you can step away from it a little bit. If you want to turn the corner with it, this is a real pro tip, Chris, for you. We did this with Judy Weiniger, which is just, it's ridiculous because Judy had like a meetup at Starbucks where she gave away these stickers. So if your group is about, say, this bigger idea, you can actually create like a logo or an emblem, if you will, that can represent that group. So we actually went to, this is a pro tip for you, Chris, stickermule.com, right? Stickermule.com, they create really high quality stickers and marketing materials. You can actually have like a design done by 99 Designs of like your local community, and you can get some swag, right? Some t-shirts, some stickers that you can actually mail to people or they can buy, or you can basically host a meetup and you can give it out to people. And I just love this idea because essentially what you're trying to do is you're trying to foster the sense of a deep community bond with people. The last piece of advice, Chris, because I know people think I get this all the time. By the way, now people messaging me, they say, Jimmy, I know you're anti-direct mail, but what do you think about this strategy? Right? I'm not anti-direct mail. Okay, I'm just anti-bad direct mail. Okay, just to be clear. This is what Nextdoor did, guys. Steal this strategy. Stand on the shoulders of giants. Nextdoor mailed invitations to basically join their Nextdoor local community group.
This is kind of an advanced tip, which would be once you have a URL for your group, like ours is like facebook.com/group/agent support group. The URL is not real clean. You can change the URL, right? And by the way, pro tip, the way you change the URL of your group is you have to change the email address of your group. People don't know that. It's really weird. But when you change the email address of your group that no one ever uses, by the way, it changes the URL. So ours is like facebook.com/group/agent support or something like that. Because when you did the email, you did agent support at facebook.com. So the pro tip is that Judy and anybody that starts a group that they want to use direct mail or do door knocking, they should buy a URL for the group, Jimmy, right? So it would be warrenfbgroup.com.
We're going to talk about pages now. What's better, pages or groups? Same question comes up. What's better, pages or profiles?
Both.
We're not talking. This is not an either or discussion.
It's actually very easy to engage 25 people a day. Remember we said 3-3 rule?
Yeah.
So the 3-3 rule is something that what we're saying is you write on a wall and you engage them in a chat. You have to live in the comments So if you want to be able to meaningfully interact with 25 people a day, commenting and liking on 25 more people's stuff, right? So it takes a while to like write on someone's wall with something meaningful, and you
Yeah.
can't just like half-ass like a private chat. You kind of got to commit to that stuff. You could do 25 of those a day easy.
There's a basic formula that we've talked about many times in the past. Over the last like 6 years, we figured it out pretty quickly, which is conversations leads to appointments, and appointments lead to closings. So the more conversations you can have in the form of direct messages, wall posts, comments, will lead to more appointments, which will lead to more closings. So pages, I think one of the first things people overlook with pages, Chris, is the actual look and feel of the page. I actually think right now this is probably one of the most underutilized tips with Facebook is actually, and this used to be big but it kind of fade away, is to actually pimp your page out a little bit, because it is like a website. You want to give people that professional impression.
So your cover pick, you could have a custom call to action button. So you want to basically, you want to basically spend a week pimping your page. And one tool that we recommend is Canva. Another technology is Heyo. Another technology is Short Stack.
Every day, to put this in perspective, every day we have about 30 people coming to our page, right? Think about that. That's basically 1,000 people a month, give or take, are coming to our page.
That's
right?
crazy, man. It's unbelievable.
What would you recommend for a profile pic, right, versus a cover pic?
When you're on your home screen of your iPhone, Jimmy, you know, there's not a lot of real estate, right? Like pun intended. So when you're thinking about your profile pic for your page, think like an icon for an app. You know, that kind of square, small. Instead of it saying Zillow, it probably has a Z. Does that make sense? But remember, when you do an update, you have the picture of your page. You also have the name. So when people see your updates in the feed, like if your page name is Zillow, you don't need your profile pic to also say Zillow. I would actually rather have a big, sexy Z, and then like, you see what I'm saying, Jimmy? Then try to make Zillow look cool on a little square. So what I would highly recommend would be, big, sexy, simple profile pic. And then you can get a little bit more creative with the cover timeline pick.
So insights. Let's talk about insights. Most people don't know this, right? So let's.
Just as a simple, insights are to Facebook what analytics are to Google. What it gives you is it gives you the data into the success of what you're sharing, especially if you're running ads. But what I learned through insights was that the people that like my personal brand page, they want selfies on the airplane. They want to know why I wear Jordans. They want me to go live on Meerkat from Berkshire Hathaway's conference. They want to see me at Remax on stage taking a selfie with 600 people in the crowd. So if you look right now at my insights, 8 out of my top 10 posts ever are just me. So insights will tell you what to post.
So if you're going to be utilizing Facebook pages, like Chris said, click on insights, click on post, sort by engagement and clicks, or post clicks and engagement. You can see your highest performers. You can use that A to basically invest to drive more traffic and engagement, and then B, use that as inspiration for what to post in the future.
The best Facebook insight is pages to watch.
You have to have a minimum amount of likes on your page to have this functionality there. I uncovered this recently, by accident. So if you're not seeing this, what Chris is going to describe, it's probably because you don't have enough likes on your page.
You're going to add pages to watch. You can watch your competition. So who are the other real estate companies in Denver that they compete with, right? Or in Tampa that you compete with? Who are your number one competitors? And you're going to add them to this watch their page list, okay? And then it will show you side by side how your page compares to their page.
The takeaway there for you is quantity does not create quality, right? That's the what's the chapter on people work?
It's quality creates quantity. Yes, and that's exactly what you're getting at.
The opposite isn't true, right? Which is what we're uncovering. The second thing is that you're a lot better off when you stop looking at your competition as competitors and you start thinking about them as collaborators, and you actually don't, like, which to Chris's point, we follow these companies because we actually admire these companies. They do great work, and you
Yeah.
can learn from them, which is, I
Yeah,
think,
like quit getting bitter and start getting better. That's what I try to tell people.
exactly.
Like there are people that have done in their life and career what you aspire to do. So you can either be mad about that or you can embrace that, which is a big, big difference.
Let me say two more things about Facebook pages that I want us to recap today on the Facebook pages and resources to follow, which is a great way to end the show tonight. Um, the first thing, Chris, I've seen a huge uptick in this, and you and I were texting about this a couple nights ago.
Mm-hmm.
People are now beginning to run ads, or I mean, beginning now to be more comfortable with direct messaging people through their Facebook page.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the things that every single person here who manages a page needs to do is you absolutely need to regularly be checking your messages on Facebook. Now,
Yep.
Facebook will notify you, right, through the normal Facebook app. But what we recommend doing is you can install the Pages Manager, right?
Yeah.
It's crazy now, Chris. You have Facebook for normal Facebook, right, for your profile. You have Groups, which is another app. You have Messenger, which is another app, and you have Pages, which is another app. And then I think you have ads now too. You can manage ads, which is another app. So they have like 5 unique Facebook ads or Facebook apps. So the pro tip is this: make sure that you are actively checking on your Facebook messages, because if you're running successful campaigns, sharing relevant content, people will direct message you. And we're seeing it across all these pages, just these kind of come list me, come help me buy messages, and people are missing them.
If your page is like 365 things to do in Charlotte, what I'm finding is that when your page has a personal brand or like a real estate company branded page, if you're consistent for 6+ months, you'll start getting messages with come list me's, period.
Mm-hmm.
But if you go like really stealth, things to do in, how's the market in, I don't know that people are messaging those pages saying, can I list my home with you? What are the next steps? So while you might get more leads and more clicks up front with a stealth page, I actually think that the branded pages, now that we're seeing this over a couple years, Jimmy, the branded pages, they're getting like 2 or 3 come list me messages a week.
Wow.
Like, that's a big deal. You're definitely would rather have a lower click-through rate for that, a higher cost per lead for that. So anyway,
Facebook has financial incentives to basically get people to spend more money. So they have a resource called facebook.com/business/success. And what they actually do is they feature success stories from different businesses who are utilizing the Facebook platform. Some are very in-depth, some are sort of superficial. But it's actually a really great guide and resource for you to go and check out, because one of the things I like is that I think, and Chris, we talk about this all the time in the show, the best inspiration you can get from a marketing and advertising perspective is to look outside of the industry. Not what everyone is doing internally about door knocking, but look outside the industry and see what the Fortune 500 companies are doing, the hot startups like Slack are doing, right, and Intercom. Get inspiration from their growth strategies and their marketing strategies, and drive that in your Facebook marketing and your advertising.
Jimmy, my man, this was my favorite episode. Good shit,
Awesome.
dude. Anything
Good
else?
stuff, guys. Have a great night.
Have a great night. Cheers, guys.